What if I told you that 46% of people in a major medical study completely reversed their type 2 diabetes in less than a year? Not managed it, not controlled it, completely reversed it to the point where they were no longer diabetic and off all medications. You'd probably think I'm selling you some miracle supplement or expensive program, right? But I'm not. This comes straight from The Lancet, one of the most prestigious medical journals in the world. And today I'm going to show you exactly how they did it, plus 3 other scientifically proven methods that are getting similar results. But here's the kicker. Your doctor probably hasn't told you about any of this. Why? Because until recently, the medical establishment believed diabetes was a one-way street. You get it, you manage it, it gets progressively worse. End of story. That's completely changed. We now have rock-solid evidence that type 2 diabetes can be reversed. And I'm going to share the fastest methods with you right now. Now, before we get started, I need to say this up front. I'm not a doctor, this isn't medical advice, and you absolutely must work with your healthcare provider before making any changes to your treatment. Diabetes is serious stuff, okay? But here's what's exciting. The research shows that type 2 diabetes can be reversed in many cases. Not managed, not controlled, actually reversed. I know this might sound too good to be true, especially if you've been told that diabetes is a progressive disease that only gets worse. That's what doctors used to believe, but the science has completely changed in the last decade. We now have multiple large-scale studies proving that type 2 diabetes can go into remission. So what do we mean by reversed? Medically, it's called remission. That means getting your blood sugar back to normal levels without any diabetes medications for at least 3 months. Your pancreas might still be a bit damaged, but it's working well enough that you're no longer diabetic. Some people maintain this for years, even decades. The key thing to understand is that type 2 diabetes isn't really about your pancreas being broken. It's about your pancreas being overworked and your cells being resistant to insulin. When you remove the underlying causes, your body can often heal itself. Now, let me share what the actual science says about the fastest approaches. And I'm going to give you the real numbers from peer-reviewed studies, not just testimonials or marketing claims. The most dramatic results come from something called very low-calorie diets. There's this huge study called the DIRECT trial, published in one of the most respected medical journals, The Lancet. They had people do 800 to 850 calories per day of liquid meal replacements for 3 to 5 months. The results? 46% achieved diabetes remission at 1 year. 36% were still in remission at 2 years. That's incredible. But here's what's even more interesting. The people who lost the most weight had the highest remission rates. Those who lost more than 15 kilograms had an 86% remission rate. Here's why it works so fast. When you lose weight rapidly, you're literally removing fat from inside your pancreas and liver. This is called ectopic fat, and it's one of the main drivers of type 2 diabetes. Your pancreas gets clogged up with fat and can't produce insulin properly. Your liver gets fatty and becomes insulin resistant. When you remove this fat through rapid weight loss, these organs can start working normally again. It's like unclogging a drain. Suddenly everything flows properly. But listen carefully. This is intense stuff that requires medical supervision. Don't try this at home without a doctor because your blood sugar can drop dangerously low, especially if you're on medications. The DIRECT study participants were monitored closely and had their medications adjusted throughout the process. Some people had to stop their diabetes medications within days because their blood sugar was dropping too low. That's a good problem to have, but it can be dangerous if you're not being monitored. Now, if that sounds too extreme, low-carb diets are showing amazing results too, and they might be more sustainable for many people. The Virta Health study found that 60% of people achieved remission with a ketogenic diet. That's under 50 grams of carbs per day. Some people see improvements in their blood sugar within days or weeks. What's fascinating about the Virta study is that they followed people for 2 years, and the results actually got better over time. At 1 year, 60% were in remission. At 2 years, it was still 53%. Plus, participants lost an average of 12% of their body weight and kept it off. You don't have to go full keto, though. Even moderate low-carb, around 50 to 100 grams of carbs daily, can be really effective and way more sustainable long-term. A study in the Journal of Medical Internet Research found that even moderate carb restriction led to significant A1C improvements. The reason low-carb works so well is simple. Carbohydrates are what raise your blood sugar. When you eat fewer carbs, your blood sugar stays more stable, your insulin levels drop, and your cells become more sensitive to insulin. It's like taking the pressure off your pancreas. But here's something most people don't know. The type of carbs matters just as much as the amount. Refined carbs and sugars spike your blood sugar much more than complex carbs. A piece of white bread can raise your blood sugar more than pure sugar. That's why eliminating processed foods is so crucial. Then there's intermittent fasting. And this is where things get really interesting from a metabolic standpoint. This is where you're not changing what you eat as much as when you eat. You might do 16 to 8, eating in an 8-hour window and fasting for 16 hours. Or maybe the 5 to 2 approach where you eat normally 5 days and go very low-calorie 2 days. Studies show your insulin sensitivity can improve in just 2 to 4 weeks with intermittent fasting. But here's why it works. When you're not eating, your insulin levels drop to baseline. This gives your cells a chance to reset their insulin sensitivity. It's like giving your insulin receptors a break so they can start working properly again. A study published in Cell Metabolism found that people doing intermittent fasting improved their insulin sensitivity by 30% in just 2 weeks. Another study found that alternate day fasting led to diabetes remission in 55% of participants within 6 months. The beauty of intermittent fasting is that you can combine it with any dietary approach. You can do low-carb intermittent fasting, or even incorporate it with very low-calorie periods. But here's the thing. The fastest results come when you combine approaches. You're eliminating processed foods and added sugars completely. You're doing both cardio and weight training. At least 150 minutes per week. You're getting 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep because poor sleep messes with your blood sugar. And you're managing stress because chronic stress literally raises your blood sugar through cortisol. Let me explain why each of these matters. Exercise doesn't just burn calories, it makes your muscles more sensitive to insulin. When you exercise, your muscles can take up glucose without needing insulin. This effect lasts for hours after your workout. Resistance training is especially powerful because muscle tissue is metabolically active and helps control blood sugar 24/7. Sleep is huge, and most people don't realize this. Just one night of poor sleep can make you temporarily insulin resistant. Chronic sleep deprivation is strongly linked to type 2 diabetes. When you're sleep deprived, your body produces more cortisol and growth hormone, both of which raise blood sugar. Stress management is equally important. Chronic stress keeps your cortisol levels elevated, and cortisol directly raises blood sugar. It also promotes belly fat storage, which is the most dangerous type of fat for diabetes. People who practice stress management techniques like meditation, yoga, or even just regular deep breathing see better blood sugar control. Even losing just 10 to 15% of your body weight can trigger remission. This is important because a lot of people think they need to lose massive amounts of weight. For a 200-pound person, that's just 20 to 30 pounds. For a 150-pound person, it's 15 to 23 pounds. The key is where you lose the weight from. Visceral fat, the fat around your organs, is what drives insulin resistance. When you lose visceral fat, your insulin sensitivity improves dramatically. This is why waist circumference is actually a better predictor of diabetes risk than BMI. Okay, let's talk timelines because I want to be realistic with you. If you make strict dietary changes, you might see blood sugar improvements in 1 to 2 weeks. I've seen people's fasting blood sugar drop 50 points in the first week of a low-carb diet. Significant A1C improvements take about 3 months because A1C reflects your average blood sugar over the past 2 to 3 months. Full diabetes remission? That usually takes 3 to 12 months of sustained effort. But here's what's encouraging. The improvements start immediately. You'll likely feel better within days. More energy, less brain fog, better sleep, reduced cravings. The most sustainable approach is gradual changes over 6 to 12 months, focusing on building habits you can actually stick with. This might mean starting with intermittent fasting for a month, then adding in low-carb eating, then incorporating regular exercise. Now, who's most likely to succeed? People diagnosed within the last 6 years, people not on insulin yet, people who can lose significant weight, and most importantly, people committed to changing their lifestyle permanently. The reason timing matters is that the longer you've had diabetes, the more damage there is to your pancreatic beta cells, the cells that produce insulin. If you've had diabetes for 10 to 15 years, you might achieve better blood sugar control, but complete remission is less likely. People on insulin have usually had diabetes longer or have more severe insulin resistance. It's not impossible to reverse diabetes if you're on insulin, but it's more challenging and definitely requires close medical supervision. Because here's the truth, this isn't easy. You're overhauling how you live. Your medications might need adjusting as your blood sugar drops, and not everyone achieves full remission. Plus, you have to maintain these changes forever, or the diabetes comes back. This is crucial to understand. Diabetes remission requires permanent lifestyle changes. It's not a diet you do for a few months and then go back to your old ways. The moment you return to the lifestyle that caused your diabetes will return. Studies show that about 20 to 40% of people who achieve remission will have their diabetes return within 5 years. But here's the good news. Even if your diabetes comes back, you'll likely have better blood sugar control than before, and you can achieve remission again. Watch out for red flags. Anyone promising overnight cures? Run. Expensive supplements that supposedly reverse diabetes? Scam. Anyone telling you to stop your medications without doctor supervision? Dangerous. One-size-fits-all programs? Not how your body works. I see so many people fall for these scams, spending thousands of dollars on supplements that don't work. The truth is, there's no magic pill for diabetes reversal. It requires real lifestyle changes. Save your money and invest it in real food, a gym membership, or working with qualified professionals. Some of the most dangerous advice I see is telling people to stop their medications immediately when starting a new diet. This can lead to dangerously high blood sugar levels. Your medications need to be reduced gradually as your blood sugar improves, and this should always be done under medical supervision. If you're going to do this, you absolutely need your healthcare team. Get baseline blood work, a 1C, fasting glucose, lipid panel, kidney function. Set up regular monitoring, especially if you're on medications. Your doctor will probably need to reduce your medications as your blood sugar improves. That's a good problem to have. See them monthly at first, then quarterly. Consider working with an endocrinologist, a registered dietitian, or a diabetes educator. A continuous glucose monitor can be incredibly helpful during this process because it shows you in real time how different foods affect your blood sugar. Let me share some specific monitoring guidelines. If you're on medications, you should be checking your blood sugar at least twice daily during the initial phases. If you see readings below 70 milligrams per deciliter, contact your doctor immediately. Your medications likely need adjustment. Your A1C should be checked every 3 months. You want to see it dropping steadily. An A1C of 6.5% or higher indicates diabetes. Between 5.7 to 6.4% is pre-diabetes. Below 5.7% is normal. For remission, you want to maintain an A1C below 6.5% without medications for at least 3 months. Don't forget about other health markers. Diabetes affects your entire body, so monitor your blood pressure, cholesterol levels, and kidney function. Many people see improvements in all these areas as they reverse their diabetes. The fastest way to reverse type 2 diabetes naturally combines aggressive dietary changes with comprehensive lifestyle modifications. Some people see dramatic improvements in weeks, but sustainable remission usually takes months of consistent work. The most successful people I've seen treat this like a full-time job initially. They meal prep, they track everything, they exercise religiously, they monitor their blood sugar constantly. It requires dedication, but the payoff is enormous. And even if you don't achieve complete remission, any improvement in blood sugar control reduces your risk of complications and improves how you feel every single day. Reducing your A1C from 9% to 7% dramatically reduces your risk of heart disease, kidney disease, nerve damage, and eye problems. Some people ask me if it's worth it if you can't achieve full remission. Absolutely. Even partial improvement means you might need fewer medications, have more energy, feel better, and live longer. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. The key is finding something you can stick with long term. Diabetes reversal isn't a quick fix, it's a lifestyle transformation. But here's what I find motivating. Every single healthy choice you make is moving you in the right direction. Every meal matters, every workout matters, every good night's sleep matters. Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. Maybe that's just cutting out sugary drinks this week. Maybe it's taking a 15-minute walk after dinner. Maybe it's going to bed 30 minutes earlier. Small changes compound over time. What questions do you have? Drop them in the comments. I read every single one. If this video helped you, smash that like button and subscribe for more evidence-based health content. I've got tons more videos on specific aspects of diabetes reversal, meal planning, exercise routines, and monitoring techniques. And remember, always work with your healthcare provider. Your health is too important to DIY. But also remember that you have more control over your health than you might think. Type 2. Diabetes doesn't have to be a life sentence. I'll see you in the next video.